as the title says, we're going to give you a demonstration on how digital WorkPack support AWP, advanced work packaging, in any size of project. Let's just jump on the next couple of slides, Matthew.
Yeah,
Next up, I'll give you a brief introduction to MODS, who we are and briefly what we do. Follow a tiny little bit about myself, and then my colleague Matthew Smith will introduce himself. Then we'll move on to MODS Connect WorkPack, a demonstration of what we do with digital WorkPack and how it can demonstrate and how it can benefit your AWP processes. We'll then finish with a short piece about MODS Connect ecosystem, the modules we offer, and then we'll follow that up with some questions. Feel free to put some questions in the chat as we go, or ask them at the end. We have had a couple of questions sent over in advance, so we'll look to answer them as well. If you don't have any, so yeah, we will cover some questions towards the end. Just jump on the next slide, Matthew. So MODS are we're a cloud-based construction tool. We can assist you through the whole life cycle of an asset. This includes construction, maintenance, including turnarounds, as well as kind of general maintenance, as well as the decommissioning of your assets as well. We're proven throughout 20 years of our software being designed by engineers with real-life project experience. So when we do introduce new features, we do it from a position of experience and listening to our clients. We've got an exceptional track record when it comes to making a positive impact on project efficiencies, helping with decision making, and also as well, most importantly, safety. Because MODS is digital, everything is tracked. We've got positive influences on the decarbonisation of assets, as well as the kind of wastage of materials on the assets as well. So you know that your materials, because everything's tracked through the system, you tend to find that very little goes missing. MODS also integrates seamlessly with systems that companies might already have in place, meaning you haven't got to change your current operations to accommodate us. We can always we can create APIs into the systems your company already uses. And then finally, we're an agile partner to have. We're always looking to develop and adapt with our clients and the environment we work with. I mentioned a minute or two ago that we try and work with our clients and we try and listen to them and build our system around their wants and needs. We will just I'll pass you on to I'll do the introduction next. So obviously we've got the webinar on WorkPacks and how we can help with AWP. I'm Andrew Lilligo. I'm the sales lead here at MODS. I've been with MODS for about 5 or 6 years. I'm experienced throughout all levels of projects, as well as onshore and offshore. And then I'll pass you on to Matthew Smith, and I'll let him introduce himself and go on with the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, my name is Matthew Smith, product manager here at MODS, working on some of the products that we have. Today I'm here to talk about the WorkPack module, obviously. But yeah, I mean, typically on a day-to-day, I suppose I'm involved in sort of your digital consultancy, some technical sales, rolling out software to new clients. But primarily as a product manager, what my main focus is the design and looking into the new features of the software whenever we, in communicating with the clients, really highlight what those new features are and how they would benefit them. Again, I've been with MODS maybe 6 or 7 years now, and got experience in the industry beforehand also. So today we're going to talk about MODS Connect WorkPack. I'm going to start off here talking about the overall module itself, go through a demo, as Andrew told you guys, and then we'll go into the larger MODS Connect suite, in which the WorkPack is one module of. So MODS Connect is a digital solution with the WorkPack producing digital work packages, paperless work packages, which ties into key data points and key phases of the project. It can be used throughout the life cycle of the EPC. What we're doing within the MODS WorkPack here, as you can see, we can produce comprehensive work packages. We can produce great planning and execution tools. It's a cloud-based system, which means that the remote access and the accessibility of the system is far superior to those on-premises sort of tools. Essentially, the product here is taking us from the planning stage where we're building the work packages, we're writing them along with their work packs, their job cards, and all the associated data that goes along with that. And then we take it into sort of the more readiness stage where we look at scheduling constraints, which is really boosting your AWP. And then, of course, into the execution phase of the project. So what I'm going to do here, guys, is just very, very quickly go into the demo. I want to spend the majority of the time, if possible, here in the demo, so we can actually show you exactly how our system works. So this is a recording of us going through the sort of overall process. And what we'll cover in this demo is getting work packs into the system, importing those work packs. We'll look at the scheduling and also the population of the work packs and what goes into them, how we actually produce a digital work package. We'll look at the review tool that we have, which is a live review tool for other users to participate in. We'll look at the approvals and sign-offs prior to execution to say that the deliverable is in a good condition and the information is accurate. And then we'll look into the constraints, making sure that we're actually ready to begin before going into the execution and showing you how we report across that sort of thing. And then finally close out. So I think if I just press the next arrow here, this will open up the video. So as you can see here, we're going to start at the very beginning and we're going to log in. What we have here within MODS Connect is a project-wise WorkPack module. As you can see here, we break this down by the client, the contract, the asset, and the project in which the work is getting done on. And as we'll talk about a little bit later in the webinar, WorkPack is only one of the many modules and components of Connect, which all work together seamlessly. What we'll start off here is we'll start off with the prerequisites to creating a WorkPack. Let's show it first is obviously your action list that we get with that. Like, you need signatures or reviews. And what we do is we look at the minimal data we need to sort of populate before we get into writing a work package. Oh, sorry, excuse me, guys. I think it's cancelled my video here. Sure, just wanted to play ball. There we go. So I think we'll just go back into it here. Essentially, yeah, so we're looking at the prerequisite administrative data, if you like, before we start writing that work pack. Now, within this, as you will see, we want to record things such as construction work areas, which can be as granular or as high level as required for the project. We can record information such as systems and subsystems in which the work is being done on, if applicable. We can record other information such as trades, which is resource types, so that we can do our resource planning. As we can see here, a list of our trades. Permit types, a list of permit types that are required to carry out that job cards or work pack. And then we get into the work pack side here, and that's it. So we're straight into creating our work pack. Now, this work pack here can be made in a number of different ways. We can do Excel imports, we can do singular grid creation, as we can see here. And we can have more intelligent links to your system as well if you have work packages being created in, say, an ERP system, which we're doing currently with a number of companies. As we can see here, we can actually use templates as well, so that we can import that information also. Those imports can also be used for things like updates of WorkPack dates. If your MS projects or P6, for example, has an update to the dates, we can do mass updates through those. Now that the WorkPack's been created, now this tool here is our schedule. We can use this at any stage of the life cycle of the project. It doesn't need to be used at the very beginning. But as we can see here, it's coming in and listing out our WorkPacks with our forecast start and end dates. It's also bringing in execution progress as well, so we can see kind of whether things are overdue, things are on schedule, they're running correctly. And of course, we have, as we can see here, our predecessor successor relationships and highlighting what kind of trades or resources will be required for those work packages. We're just going to filter out the noise here to look at the critical work packages, which, as you can see there, has removed a list of some of the lesser packs that we don't want to look at in this view. The schedule can be used to adjust dates if required also. So a bit of an interactive schedule tool there. We come into here, this is our WorkPack index. This is the very beginning of the build process. So essentially any WorkPacks that have been imported will be listed here within your project WorkPacks. It also acts as a bit of a dashboard, as you can see. A bit of this. A bit of a dashboard, as you can see, where we can see the WorkPack numbers, which is access buttons. We can drill down to the job cards. We can see the title of the WorkPack, the status of it in the planning, so pre-execution and mid-execution statuses, current revision, whether or not it has association with materials from the materials module, joints from the integrity module, or tags from the completions module, for example. And also giving us a nod to our document status, kind of helping us out with our document WorkPack constraints there. Let us know that, yes, we do have the most up-to-date file in place. Another button we have access to on the right-hand side is the PDF icon. At any point during the process, we can press this WorkPack PDF and produce the deliverable. I'm sure we'll show that in just a moment. So by opening that WorkPack, clicking on that WorkPack number, we've opened up the first screen, which is WorkPack Overview. Within here, we've got very high-level information, but we also have some more detailed information, such as our introduction and scope of work on the right-hand side, using rich text tools, HTML editors, to allow us to get that sort of Microsoft Word feel for how for producing that sort of the statements as required. We move into our documents tab here, and in our documents, we can attach local documents, of course, so uncontrolled documents from your computer, or we can go for a more intelligent approach, which will help us with our WorkPack constraints for the documents by attaching controlled documents. Now, this can be done either through intelligent links with your EDMS system, that's your electronic document management system, or we can do that through your you can use Excel files essentially into the MODS Connect .hub, and then we can constantly update the status of those documents, allowing you to see the latest and greatest information. As we move here into the predecessors, we're able to link predecessor work packages, of course, either from within the project, and we'll be able to access the deliverable of that other work pack also. That's the same for successors. The same idea is applied. And what we're going to jump into here is our job card. So before we actually finalize, we're going to come into our job cards. We've got 4 job cards here. One is red, meaning it is being cancelled, as opposed to deleted in this case. And we can see the high-level information, such as the appropriate CWA, system, subsystem, and it's also given some information, such as the planned man-hours totals within there also. So we come into here, we come into our job card, we have our overview, which is some very high-level information about that job card, and then we come into our steps, which is really building up our resource requirements and our work volume. Now, the way we do this is essentially by either Excel imports, or we can use the tools available within the screen. We can use them to create the steps required to carry out the work, associate the trade or resource type that is responsible for carrying that out, and then we would look at the hours, quantity, and factor, which will allow us to calculate our total man hours for the step. Now, the hours column, we can actually tie in with your norms. So if you do have productivity norms available to you, we can link them into the system. So as you can see here, we can change the sort of tools to allow you to engage with them. In this case, we've got a book and a chapter, which will allow us to drill into the correct part of the norms matrix to apply that to the appropriate step. And then, of course, as we can see on the right-hand side here, we're starting to see a bit of a summary based on the associated trades here, where we can see the total planned hours required for each of them. We move into the next tab called Materials. So materials here, we can use this in 2 different ways. Essentially, we can add just a material listing if we're just using the WorkPack module and need to express the WorkPack BOM within the WorkPack, or we can tie it in with our materials module. Our materials module here will allow us to create new WorkPack BOMs tied in with our material library, which is actually already shown here on the screen. So we have automated descriptions for this material library, allowing us to associate material codes and all sorts. Or we can do this from other ways, for example, such as we can use allocation tools, or even build a BOM from a join BOM data that's been sent from one of your external systems. We've moved across here now, and we're into the tags. Within this tags, we've got a number of ways of associating tags with the WorkPack. The first, we can just create them through Excel, so we can list them here. The second is we can take them from our completions module. So our completions module within Connect typically acts as our sort of master tag register, shall we say. That's the sort of home for where it resides. But what we can also do is we can actually harvest those tags from the 3D model, which is where reality comes in here. So by having your model, extracting the tags from the model, that can then be made available for assignment to WorkPacks as well. And as you can see here, it's just showing you kind of very high level how this works. As you can see here, we can link those tags to steps, so we understand which steps will aid the progress of that. And then we've got a job card template here, so the output file for the job card, which is just one sheet of many within the overall WorkPack template. What we're doing now, we've jumped into the review tool here, so we're happy with our contents of the WorkPack. And what we're doing is we're looking to invite other users. So as you can see, we've got to review and for information, depending on the access rights you want them to have. We can add a completion date here, and then we can go ahead and assign the invitation. To actually use the tool, this would send an action against the accounts of everybody that's been invited. Okay, so they're now able to come and participate. And as you can see here, this is actually one of the templates that we've got here within MODS Connect. We can make bespoke templates to mirror the output file that you may currently already be using in your current business. And maybe even if it's a non-digital work package, we can still look to replicate the output look and feel. In this case here, we can see we've got some comments getting added to this work package. And what we can use is a list of these tools for adding texts, a number of shapes, text boxes with arrows, all that kind of stuff, so that you can see what's going on. Within this, we can also look at our review comments grid. So we can see every other reviewer's comments. As we can see here, I can see Mark Johnson there has given me a couple of comments. And I can go ahead and take a look at those if I wish, which I think it will here. And there we go. So we just jumped over to his comment. This saves duplication and allows others getting the same mindset during the review. Now, based on those reviewers, we can then go ahead and see the status of how they're getting on as part of this review. For example, here we can see that Mark has marked himself as being complete. He left 2 comments. I've left 3, and I've not said I'm finished yet, and Tim hasn't started. So I'm going to send an email reminder to Tim just to give him another nudge, just to say, please come and take part. We won't be forced to wait for Tim to finish this review. If we feel that enough time has passed and we need to move on, of course, we can conclude and move forward. All the comments that are stored on a WorkPack review are listed within our action list here, which allows us to essentially use this as a checkbox, a checklist of things we need to remedy before the next revision. And as we can see, when we actually come to the sign off of the WorkPack, what we can do is we can assign users so that they are the responsible signatories. And they will get another action against their user account, and they'll be able to come in and sign the WorkPack here. Now, what's going to happen here when I sign the final signature, as you'll notice, there is no order that you have to sign in. We feel like that is a bottleneck, waiting for other people to participate when you've already done your review. And when we apply this final signature, what's going to happen is a couple different things. Number one, the work pack will be locked down. As we'll see here, these tabs along the top, there's some of these that are grayed out. There's a couple of things that I can do within some of the tabs, but very, very little. And also what it's done there is it's stored a copy of the deliverable within our document hub. So we're able to keep archives of all the previous revisions of the work package. As you can see, the work pack is locked. Now we're actually going to look at that work pack template. So let's actually look at what we've produced there. This is one of many of our templates. And like I say, we can bespoke this to be more suited to your current way of working. We've got things, many pages in here to be able to show what's required. We can slim this right down for you. We can make it as detailed as is required. Coming into our documents and our drawings. Down here, where we can look at all of those. Our material listing, showing us our work pack BOM by the job card that they're required for. Into our job cards, where we can see a list of the job cards that we have created for this work package. A list of certification, so any sort of completions involvement, we can include paper copies of ITRs and all sorts if required. If you're using our completions module, then there is no reason to use this because we all have all that digital and available for you. And then we've just got some appendices and references documents at the end here. So we've signed the work pack. We're happy with the contents. We've reviewed it. And now what we're looking at is our constraint management here. So as you can see, our constraint tool is broken into 4 sections. We've got the summary, which is looking at more of the secondary constraints, visibility, along with the planning status, and then of course moving into the following tabs for engineering deliverables, materials, and predecessors. So within this first tab here, summary, I think we're just going to filter down to one of the work packs in the video here as it's a lot of information going at one time. There we go. So we can see for this work pack here, these are the required resource types I need. These are the hours I'm going to need them for. How much of the scope is theirs. You can see the permit requirements across the job cards. Installation requirements. Maybe we need scaffolding or maybe a forklift, depending where your project is, of course. And then we can see the planning information along the bottom, let you know the status of the approvals. We get into engineering deliverables here. This is our document information. As we can see the work pack associated to the forecast start of the work pack, when that document, what the document is, the current revision, its status, whether we have received a physical file or whether it's just metadata, whether it's been superseded by another revision within your EDMS, that's if you have some sort of link with your EDMS. And we can look at planned issue dates and stuff like that as well. Coming to the materials module here, we've got 2 grids, the top being work pack. So I'll just admit that person. So you can have more than one work pack listed within this at one time. Absolutely, you're not confined to doing constraints for one work pack at one time. We can filter by a number of things, such as your project, the work phase planner, or the originator of the work pack, the criticality, date range filters, all sorts. So we can see a list of the work packs with the overall summary. In this case here, we've got 100% of the materials available at the warehouse, but they've not been bagged and tagged in this case. We've got our 3 line items here. We can see what PO it came on, who was the buyer in case we need to get in touch with them. We've got the PO line number, material codes if they're included in the system, material descriptions, and then it will start giving us more information about where we are in the process. So as we move the mouse down a little second, what we'll see is we scroll along, we'll be able to see the required quantity in the BOM, the ordered quantity in the PO, how much have actually been allocated to this work scope, the received quantity, and then of course how many has been issued. Now we can expand on this to also put in shipping manifests information as well, received offshore. In this example that we have listed, it's for an onshore project. Here we come into the predecessors now, and essentially what we're using here is looking at the predecessor work packages that we listed before, and of course looking at the execution progress information for that. And we can see various bits of information, the status of that work package, and so on. Now, how we actually get that status comes from here, our execution tool. So assuming we're constraint free, we're good to go. We come into this tool where we can go in, we can see the status of our job cards. So here we've just marked the job card as being complete, which will update the progress to 100%. We 100% complete, or saying it's 50% or whatever percentage is appropriate. And then we can sign off the job card. We can apply actual man hours as well to give you that information based on your plan versus actual. And then, of course, yeah, we would essentially just work our way through the job cards here. So in this case, the last time we updated the entire job card to 100%. In this case, what's happening is they've actually went into each individual step and updated the minute detail. So these tools are available on the desktop, but please be mindful that we do have mobile technology. So ideally, this is all done on the handheld devices out in the field, which will send the data back to us. Within that, as you can see here, we're going to upload some execution documentation for the closeout team to get their hands on. But please be mindful that mobile technology can work both online and offline. So dependent on your internet capabilities out in the field, we can download data when we have it available, when we're in the office with some Wi-Fi potentially. And then we go out in the field, we do our work, and we sync it back up when we come. If you do have the privilege of internet capabilities, we can keep the mobile device live as well, meaning that your reports are kept up to date in real time. We've executed our job cards here, whether that be on the mobile or the desktop, in this case, the desktop. We've uploaded our execution documentation. It's the end of the job. And we're going to first go through a checklist, a very generic checklist to say we've tidied up, we've completed the job cards, actual man hours are recorded, red line drawings uploaded, all that kind of stuff. And that can give us a certificate, essentially, just as proof to say that we've actually done the work. We'll maybe just do that very quickly, just come back a second to here. So, as I said, we'll go through the checklist. We can just update the notes if we have any comments or any information we want to be left either on the certificate or for readers in the future. And then the signatures here is typically done. You'll normally see your completed by signature done on the mobile, and then quite often you'll see your accepted by done on the desktop. Either way, they can both be done in either of them. So we've come into the 3D sort of reporting bit here. Now, we don't have to wait until the WorkPack signed off to do this. Okay, we can do this at any point during execution. This is one of our 3D reports that we're looking at the moment. This is tag-wise progress within your WorkPack. What we've done here is we've filtered down to a WorkPack, in this case, when the completed WorkPack, so the one we've just completed there. And I'm looking through at the progress of each of my tags. So I'm looking at the spool, the valve in this case. We're just going through isolating, keeping everything else in the skeleton mode, and allowing you to witness the progress there. There we can do a number of filters in here, give you a good bit of information. This is just one of many reports that we have. And before we actually go into this last bit, excuse me again, guys. Before we actually go into this last bit, I'll just very quickly explain some of the other reports we've got because it's not actually in this video. So we offer 2D static reports and data dumps, such as Excels, PDF reports, like I say, 2D dashboards. So for example, that constraint management screen you see is a 2D dashboard, and we've got a number of others for execution and planning across the modules, but more specifically to WorkPack, since that's what we're talking about today. And then, like I said, we also have the 3D/4D dashboards within the reality tool as well, which we can go ahead and view. So this kind of shows us the reporting across the execution. Now, as you've seen in the previous section, we have actually signed off this WorkPack, which means we're now looking at closeout. For closeout, the first thing that we would look to do is the closeout team, they will receive an email, a notification, and action when that WorkPack is signed off and execution is being complete. So they're made aware. They go into that execution documentation screen that the guys uploaded in before they signed the WorkPack, download any content so it can be filed with DCC. And then essentially what they can do is they can revise the WorkPack to a closeout revision. which will allow them to up-rev the WorkPack and to revise the WorkPack and add in any closeout contents that is required. So excuse me a second, it's gone quite quick there, hasn't it? We'll just pause this in just a second. And then essentially what's happened is the closeout engineer has issued the packet Z01 and included any other documentation, whether that be as-built drawings or any of the sort. And that sort of ends the overall process. Now, there are far more tools that can be used when the module is used with as an ecosystem, which takes me on to my next section here, which is MODS Connect. So as we say, WorkPack here is just one module of many within the tool, and we'll talk to you about some of the tools that we have here. The first is fabrication. We've got a fabrication tracker tool, which will allow you to produce fabrication dossiers. We have our WorkPack module, which is what we've been talking about today, which is for the production, the creation, the planning, and the execution. We have materials module, which takes us right from the very beginning of our bill of materials through to requisition. The requisition is then handed back to a procurement system, not MODS Connect, which then comes back in the form of a UPO, an unpriced purchase order once approved. And then we deal with the material control, the material tracking of that item. So from BOM through to the received offshore and the consumption, just missing that middle portion there of procurement. So we're looking at the deliveries in the form of advanced shipping notices in the materials module. We are then looking at receiving those materials at the warehouse, which are allowing us to record the received quantities, storage locations, heat numbers, serial numbers, any of the important information that is associated with that item once it arrives. From there, we can do some stock management, stock verifications, stock adjustments, of course, before we look at issuance. So we can issue either for transportation, which could go on either consignment note for road transport, or manifesting, which is sea or air. In MODS Connect, which will allow you to get those materials to the destination. So if it's an offshore platform, of course, it'll go on it may go on a consignment to get on a manifest, but then it'll arrive offshore on the platform. And then, of course, we can receive them and issue them. So I've got an integrity module, which is joint integrity, bolted connections. We have completions, which is all about your mechanical completion system handover. We can do more complex commissioning projects as well for ITRs, punches, and handovers. And they're all working together with the WorkPack module. We do have some other tools as well, such as also the porters, the links to all the modules, and the reality, which is the 3D. I did notice a question come through as I was talking about the 3D. So that 3D is essentially just visualization. So we take your engineering model file, your 3D model file, and we upload it into the system. We can extract the tags from that file and from that model. And then we can use that to visualize progress and other sorts, and to give data to that 3D model to turn it into a more of a digital twin. Am I just seeing the time now, Andrew? Is that why your cameras go on?
No, I've come in just because I know the questions are starting, so I'll just turn my camera back on.
No problem. So I'll run through the next few slides very quickly, guys. I'm aware of the time now, but we do cover the WorkPack module and Connect in general. Just does cover the full sort of cycle, starting at design to planning, where we can visualize our 3D model and start to look at the decomposition of the project. We can look at the planning to construction. This is when we really start ramping up into the building of the work packages, defining the requirements, whether that be materials or commissioning down the line. We move into the construction portion, as you can see, where we're doing the most. Obviously controlling that could be a mix of both fabrication, construction, and mechanical completion. And then moving into your sort of commissioning and startup, which is with our completions module to track the integrity of the platform, as well as the integrity module, of course, and then handover, of course, for the transfer of responsibility. and the tri-party walkdowns and whatnot. So the total Connect value chain here. So as we can see, we've got our WorkPack module running the whole way through this sort of this chain. And alongside that, we're reducing overheads and rates for material loss and engineering efficiency. We're raising our requirements for our materials, identifying surplus that you may have within our materials module before placing that purchase requisition. Post-PO material control of getting those materials to where they need to be. Fabrication, using the fabrication tracker, being able to track the fabrication of the fabricated items, and then of course moving into the fabrication dossiers as the output. We have our project execution with digital assets, integrity using our joint integrity module to showcase the joints, and then completions for the handover at the end, including all of our mechanical completion, our construction and commissioning check sheets, dealing with our punches, and then handing over. And as you can see there, at the bottom there's some of the figures highlighting that the product has been vetted on many projects. So this is purely just project data. So, Andrew, yeah, I believe you said there's some questions come through. I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, no problem. So obviously there was a couple of questions there from Dave Milne from Mitosis Digital Technologies. I believe you've just answered pretty much answered them. There's some questions that came through kind of through the week and back end of last week. And they're for people who couldn't attend, but they wanted the questions answered. So I'll just start us off with how does MODS Connect WorkPack save time?
Okay, I think I might need to double back and answer some of Dave's questions. I don't think I've answered him or Tony's question entirely. Do you mind if I just start with those, Andrew?
Go for it.
Yeah. Part, and then we can capture the people that haven't been able to make it. Since you guys have actually shown up, we'll answer your questions first. So is the update with P6 a two-way update? It can be. Okay, so it totally depends on the intelligent data links that we set up with you guys. So we can absolutely have it so you update your construction schedule in our system and it sends the data back. We can have it so that we can lock the editing in our system and you only send data to us. We can have the communication going any way you want to. If you don't have any intelligent data links, it is one way, unfortunately. We can export, we can import the new dates and we can export it to Excel. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of the sort of two-way you're getting there is an import and an export. But with the direct data and intelligent data links, we can absolutely look to automate that process, which make it far smoother. Tony had a question of how do you link the 3D pipe spool to the data? Is this a manual process? So essentially, it comes through the tag number. Okay, so essentially, it's not necessarily a manual process. It's as we extract the tag number from the 3D model, and we are using that same tag number throughout the system, so it understands that there's a direct link between the two. So you're not having to go between it and saying you are this, for example, in the 3D. It's typically extracted from the 3D. Now, assuming you don't have the ability to or don't have the data within your 3D model, yes, you can actually create the link within reality by clicking on the model items and saying you are this tag, for example, or this pipe spool from your example. Yeah. And what 3D viewer are you using? So MODS Connect uses Autodesk Forge to produce that. I don't actually believe that Forge is the name anymore. I believe they've updated it now to where let me get back to you. It was formerly known as Autodesk Forge, but very, very recently it's just been updated name, and I've not quite remembered it clearly. But if you search Autodesk Forge, I'm sure that the first thing that'll come up and you'll be able to find that. Hopefully I've captured those questions, gentlemen. Thanks, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks,
sorry, yes, Andrew.
Thanks.
No problem.
Yep, thanks very much for those questions. And so obviously just back onto the ones that came in earlier on the week. So how does MODS Connect WorkPack save time?
Yeah, so I suppose with time, it really comes down to transportation and accessibility. That's the two really the key areas where it does it. So we'll start with transportation. I suppose transportation, I mean, if you think of how things used to be, sending those paperwork packages for the hard copy to be there offshore, that can take 1 to 2 weeks for that work pack to reach the remote site. Now, this is a cloud-based software, which essentially means that as soon as that work pack is signed as being approved, it is available in the hands of the user. Now, that's great, really, for a couple of different reasons. The main being turnaround during a scope. So, if during on the daily call, for example, we highlight that there's maybe some growth to the scope, or maybe a slight change that needs to happen to the scope due to a feasibility study, then or a site technical query, then we can go ahead and make those changes and not have to worry about the transportation times to get it back offshore. We can essentially make it instantly available to the user. Additionally, the closeout process can take 60 to 90 days from actually getting that back on shore, going round all the relevant parties, getting all the signatures, and then closing that work pack. Again, cloud-based software, we're coming back to the same sort of answer there. So it's instantly available for the accessibility portion. And this is the same. What we find the most is things like review and signatures of approvals. People really saying that it really saving them time as well. So instead of sending that paper copy around each person's desk one by one, we have them all in the live review, able to partake when available, and then the signatures they sign when they're ready.
Cheers, Matthew.
That's good.
It's now called Autodesk Platform Services.
That's it. Autodesk Platform Services. That's it. That's the one. Thank you.
And then I would just have another question there from Dave Milne as well. Can we link Can we link to our client's document management system?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Dave, if you don't mind me asking, are you working for an operator or a service provider?
Service provider.
Yeah. Service provider. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you can absolutely link either your EDMS or the clients. I mean, typically what we see with service providers is they want to link their own. If you guys are doing the engineering, for example, you can absolutely link that in. However, if you want more like the transmittals for the stuff going back to the clients, then we can look at that as well. Absolutely, no problem at all. We just need to essentially what we do there is we sit down, we have a process, we have existing links, shall we say, that make them very easy and transferable to other clients and other companies. But we may look at a more bespoke setting depending on those sort of scenarios if you want them to be different in different scenarios. Okay, thank you, Dave.
Okay, and you kind of touched on this question a little bit in your last answer with we're saving time with WorkPacks, but how does MODS Connect WorkPack streamline workflows and then deliver value as well? Obviously, you've talked about the time aspect, but trying to kind of streamline those processes that people have.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose time is the big one, really, isn't it? But again, it comes down to a few different things, such as even just time spent. I know it's time again, but time spent accessing data. You know what I mean? The amount of times a client will come to you and ask for something, and you have to go to many different sources to get the information. With us using the database, essentially, we can go ahead and get that information very, very easily, very, very quickly. So the whole reporting aspect and getting information becomes far easier.
Yeah. Okay. I'm aware we ran over time, so we'll just go for kind of one more question that came through.
Sure.
If you're listening to this webinar after and you're not live, if your question hasn't been answered, just ping me a message and we'll look to get or drop me an email and I'll look to get the questions answered for you as well.
I'll leave Andrew's email address on the screen now, just in case while you're asking the last question.
Cheers, Matthew. So that's where we are. So why are cloud-based digital WorkPack systems like MODS Connect WorkPack better than on-prem WorkPack software?
Accessibility. Back to the first answer, I'm afraid, on this one. Accessibility. Okay, now on-premises software does not promote the sort of remote working side of things. So that's where we, especially nowadays with the remote working, we can access on any sort of device that has an internet connection. Okay, so essentially we can just open up any laptop, any computer, and we can go ahead and log into the website. All you need is to remember your password, your email address, your password, and the site name. So it's very, very straightforward for gaining access, and you can do that from anywhere.
Okay. Well, thank you very much to everyone that's joined and everyone that's signed up. Appreciate your questions as well. It really kind of it makes it a very good platform if there's interaction, there's questions coming through. So we appreciate those. If you've got any further questions, just drop me a message or an email, and we'll look to set up a chat and see if we can take things a little bit further for you. But thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much, Matthew Smith, for giving the
You're
demonstration. And
So,
have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. While other people are leaving, Dave, I'll just answer your last question there. Is AWP coding defined in another module? Can you just clarify a little bit more on what you mean by the AWP coding?
Yeah, if you're defining your construction work areas and construction work packs, engineering work packs, usually it's done via a coding system. I'm just wondering if that's bespoke to your. No, if you have a set coding structure, or do you use your client's coding structures, or is it how dynamic is that whole sort of coding assignment?
Of course. So we typically use the clients. Okay. So especially if MODS Connect, unlike many of the other sort of systems that do this sort of thing, we come from Brownfield. That's where our experience comes from. And in many of the cases, these platforms already had all their coding and everything in place for a very, very long time. So we adopt the clients in our system.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the presentation, by the way. It's been good.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your attendance. And yeah, like Andrew says, if you've got any follow-up questions, feel free to send an email to the email address on the screen here, and we'll be sure to get back to you.
Dave, I've just seen your message there as well. I'll drop you an email.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Have a great day, everyone. Speak to you later on.
Thank you, everyone. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.